Deep. Hello, everyone. This is the chat about everything. This is just three blokes shooting the breeze, one nihilist, one spiritual, one Christian, which gives us good basis for some discussions and some agreements and disagreements. This is just for entertainment purposes and informational purposes. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe. You know what to do. Yeah, today we're talking about, can you actually be lost, or are you always on track? So that's the question and the basis of our conversation today. Can you actually be lost, or are you always on track? So I guess it depends on your interpretation straight away, doesn't it? And we might have to define what the hell we're talking about here with this question
Yeah,
and
well,
see where it
let's
goes.
take it to the questioner, Henry. Henry, go on and let's elaborate a little bit more, fella.
So this question is almost to say like there's a plan for our life, and when things are going wrong, is that how the plan should be? Is that just because things are going wrong, we might turn around and go, oh well, everything's going wrong and seemingly going wrong, I should add actually, because how do we know if it's actually going wrong, right? And
Mm.
that's sort of the question. When things are seemingly going wrong, is that the plan for our life? Is that to help us grow? Is there any route we can go down that is really out of alignment with who we're supposed to be, where we're supposed to be going, etc. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a strange question, but yeah.
no, it's often one I've contemplated myself, and I've there is a consistency actually, as much as I am I don't believe in God, and I'm more of an agnostic than a spiritualist. Um, I do think, though, um, that we do have lessons in life to learn. Um, I think that we're put on, I don't know, it's a bit of a strange one. It goes right against what I generally believe in. But,
Yeah,
um, and I do think that we've got lessons in life. I've always felt that.
But they're tailored
Doesn't
for
doesn't
you as
make
well.
any sense. There's no logic in that at all. But I do. I felt that way for a very long time. Logic would dictate that I'm talking a load of bollocks, which wouldn't be the first time. Um, but I do have an inherent feeling that we each of us have our own lessons to learn. Uh,
wow.
and sometimes it's a bit confusing because you don't know what the lesson is. Um, but regardless, you can't move away from it. You've got to adapt and overcome and learn the lesson and move on. Um, and people struggle with that. People do struggle with it. And I have struggled with my lessons in life. And I continue to get lessons in life as well. It doesn't ever stop, let me tell you. You know, I think you've got to, as Bruce Lee like say, you've got to be like water. You've got to move around with it, Don't fight it. But I think there are times that you can feel lost. Um, but ultimately, I think you're on track.
So
Wow.
feeling lost doesn't mean you're off track, does it? It's just the lack of awareness that we've got.
Yeah, I think yeah,
But
you're absolutely, it's a lack of awareness in the direction that in travel, in life, your life, what you've got, yeah, it's, and everybody's got different things. Some people have health issues, some people have career issues, some people have geographical issues. They're living in a difficult place in the world. Um, but yeah, it's I don't think I think sometimes you have a feeling of being lost or not knowing what to do, and as a result, feeling a bit lost.
Mm.
Um, but I think the make of the man is what you know is how you knuckle down and get on with it, really. And I think that's the nature of the lesson is that you just got to knuckle down, get on with it, and learn from it, good or bad.
Mm.
I'm I'm absolutely gobsmacked to be hearing you speak this way. And you did use the
Mm.
word confused, and it's a bit confusing. But you used the word agnostic, which suggests like a not knowing. Whereas
Yeah.
nihilism's more of a like, no, there is no God kind
No,
of thing.
no, no. Agnostic is not being able to prove it either way.
Yeah, not knowing.
But
Yeah.
there's still an element of doubt, right? If you were
Yeah.
sat that there was no God, you would say nihilist or atheist, right?
Um,
Yeah, that's what I was expecting you to say, atheist rather than agnostic. That's
I'm
what.
not. No, no. The thing is, an atheist is somebody who is absolutely. No, a nihilist is. It's. I don't know. When I say it goes against the grain, because a nihilist is somebody who doesn't believe there's a purpose to life,
Yeah. And I think what I'm saying is that
and it goes against.
I'm
Yeah.
what I'm saying is I'm surprised to hear you talk this way because it kind of it's like there's for me
Yeah.
it's like a crack in the darkness which
Yeah. Yeah.
lets the light in.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like which is pulling you towards, well, actually, if there's a design behind life
Mm,
and things, because I've got a saying, we've got a saying in this house, um, things are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, which suggests, that there are lessons to be had. There are things to impact our lives that will take us in different ways. And and I love when Steve Jobs got ill, he said uh, like you can only connect the dots looking backwards. So
yeah.
when you're in a what looks like a crisis or a dark place to you.
Yeah.
Henry used the word seemingly, and that's definitely, yeah, it seems like this is not a good place or a good thing. But then sometimes it turns out that that's the most brilliant thing.
Yeah.
For instance, an example being somebody who gets a really bad illness and then is surrounded by terminally ill people and they go through that whole thing themselves and then they recover and then their life looks very, very different and they become very much more positive or they become a little bit more loving or self-forgiving or whatever.
Uh,
You know, I really think that um, it can look like we're lost, but I don't know whether we can actually ever be lost. I think we're always on track for whatever is meant to be for us, for our kind of like life experience. That's how it looks to me because I'm glad we've gone down this road and not like, can you actually be lost using Google Maps or a sat nav or whatever? And I'm just about to do a weekend with 90 odd young people doing DOV, learning to map read and use a compass. They're definitely going to get lost at times. I can 100%, but they won't ever be lost, will they? Because they will be learning skills. They
yeah.
will be self-correcting. They will be interacting with each other and getting something from that. So, yeah, for me, I think what happens is we think, I don't want this and I don't want to be here. So it's not an awareness problem, as you guys were saying earlier, a lack of awareness. I think it's a lack of cognition. We're kind of like looking at it, thinking about it, feeling about it, in the wrong way that makes us off track. I'll tell you what it is. It's a lack of surrender. It's a lack of acceptance rather than a lack of awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you can go too far there, though, can't you? I mean, you can have a sort of laissez-faire sort of attitude and say, "What will be," and and you don't put any effort in it. And I think that when you come out the other side of there, um, I think the lesson learned from my perspective is that this could have changed if I'd put more of an effort into it.
That sounds more like giving up though than surrender. With surrender, there's still an element of like faith of moving forward, you know? It's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
letting
faith.
go entirely of
Yeah, exactly. It's faith. It's having faith. I
mm,
mean,
Or choice. You've got a choice to be laissez-faire or to go, oh God, and be a bit of a victim, or you've got a choice to kind of, I'll give you an example right now from my life. Things aren't that easy at work. And it's a lot of dynamics and a lot of stuff going on. I could kind of go, well, that's just the way it is, and kind of like accept that I might not have any influence in that, or I can lean into that and do the best I can in
yeah,
order for it to kind of pan out in perhaps a different way rather than me, be a
exactly. So
victim of
it's
something.
better to have tried than failed than not tried at all.
Yeah.
So
But this is your question, though, Henry. I'm kind of assuming what you might say about this.
mm.
But
Well, the idea of being lost is interesting in when talking about life anyway, because like we all hear like life's a journey, right? You say, oh, life's a journey, but most journeys you leave somewhere and you set out to get somewhere. But life, you never set out. You're just here. You don't. Well, I don't remember choosing to set out. Maybe I did, but it doesn't appear that that happened. And then we're like, where are we heading? None of us really know. So we haven't really got anywhere to go. We sort of want to go somewhere, but it's kind of brief and it's like really far away. So it feels just too much to like map out the whole journey like you would with most journeys. So then being lost, you could almost say is like essential. It's just part of the deal of life because, like I said, you haven't got a destination. It's so what is it to be found, right? It's the one journey you set out on with no 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 instructions, no
yeah,
destination, nothing. Like
you're right. I mean,
so you could argue you're lost the whole time almost.
but you don't have a choice in making the journey either. Before you know it, it's like people are instilling sort of a direction for you, and you're like, well, I didn't choose this. I didn't
Mm,
choose to come here and do that. It was effectively it was your parents. They're the ones who decided to have you as a child and set you on that journey in life. And then they turn to you and say, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" It says, how am I supposed to know? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And I mean, and then everybody expects you to toe the line and do what everybody else does, which is a bit. Uh, well, some people have a propensity to do that. I'm not really. I like to do my own thing. And quite often, I question whether it is the right thing. Purpose have I done what was expected of me? And my life might be well, most definitely would be different. Um, but is it then your life, or you just sort of fitting into somebody else's dreams? And I think. Um, you're actually you're fitting into somebody else's dreams, and that's not really, you're not really living your own life then, are you? So, but then being lost also um, opens up new doors for you as well, doors you never knew were there. So I don't have a problem with being lost. Um, it's quite often, I mean, the nature of my business is that it serves a purpose for a period of time, and then that sort of wanes, and then I might have to get a new customer and serve a purpose, and then it wanes. So it's contractual and it's forever changing, and I get so it's um, so there's always new doors to open, and so that's what I like about the work that I do is that there's always something new to learn. I would hate to sort of do the same job over and over and over and over again. Um, I would get really bored very quickly, and that that would drive me towards. I suppose looking, you're not doing the job properly. I don't know. You just get lazy in your work, don't you? If you've got no interest in it, and then that's the problem, isn't it? I don't know. I think we're maybe going down another route here, but no, I'm just sort of saying that being lost is a challenge, and another door to open, and I like that sort of challenge. I like the new challenge, but it's not everybody's cup of tea, is it? People like comfort. They like to same job in and out, the same money in and out, sort of, um, they feel comfortable. They want a comfortable life. I think they're lost a little bit personally, um, but then I don't know.
Uh-huh. But that's the interesting thing with life, right? Because there is an element of like we all don't know what we're doing. So there's this underlying mystery for everyone. And then it's like finding your way with what you've got. So you could argue that we're all totally lost looking for some kind of direction. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But then like the question is almost framed in a sense of like, is there somewhere to be going? Is Tim supposed to be helping this person at some point in his journey? It like is there an actual is there somewhere to be heading, or is it all just aimless?
Well, in your case, being a follower of Jesus Christ, I think for you it must be quite straightforward. You know, follow abide by the good book and uh, sort of follow the principles of the Bible. And think that would be your direction in life, wouldn't it be?
I'm not sure that would be. I'll let you answer this, Henry, but it sounded like a really strange question, wouldn't it be? Shouldn't it be really simple as a follower of Jesus Christ? And I was just thinking, well, it wasn't very simple for those 12 or 13 people or more that followed him when he was walking on the earth. And he ended up getting nailed on a cross. It's kind of like this doesn't sound very simple to me. It was
Mm.
simple to them, I think, in their heads because of what they understood. And anyway, sorry, Henry, go on. You want
No,
to?
sorry. No, my answer, honestly, it might sound like it's a contradiction, but like my life felt way simpler when I believed that we were just, you know, we evolved from monkeys and we just come here and cells grew and evolution and life is just this big accident. Like everything was way simpler then. There was no real weight of responsibility because what matters when you're just a clump of cells that, just emerged from nothing and is going to go back to nothing someday. Like life was way simpler when I truly believed that. And, it what's the point in trying to be anything or do anything when you believe that? Life is just like about having fun back then. And yeah, okay, I was a teenager. I came to Christ only a couple of years ago. I'm only 24, so you could argue that's a reflection on my age as well. But everything was way simpler then. I feel probably more confused than ever, even though I'm more knowledgeable than ever in some sense. I feel, yeah, like everything's harder actually, John, I would say, to be honest. It's
Really?
definitely not, yeah, it's definitely not easier walking with Christ. So no, I definitely wouldn't say that.
Well, you're never lost though, are you? Because there's a defined plan with God's. He has a. It's all sort of. He has a plan for you, doesn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. But then what?
Hey,
So you negate the responsibility. You follow your dreams and you the way follow your dreams and you just do what you want and that's God willing. It's going to be that's the way it is. Is that sort of your attitude towards it?
Um, I mean, there, there's an added factor of like you never really know if you've done the right thing as well, right? Like
No,
the thing is, like, of course, I've still got a lot to learn, right? So it's hard for me to talk from a Christian point of view because I consider myself a baby Christian and I've still got so much more to learn.
mm,
But like just from a life point of view, you can look back and like Tim said, you connect the dots looking back, right?
mm,
But you can't ever split test life. Like if I film this podcast now and
mm.
I just got an invite to go somewhere, I can't go there and film the podcast. So you know, like the things you do, you can reflect on that, but you can't ever reflect on the stuff you didn't do. So it's like you never truly know whether you made the right choice, I guess.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
part of the being lost, right? Because you can't look forward. Like we have an imagination. We try and think, oh, how would that play out? How would that play out? But even with the hindsight, looking back, you reflect on what you did, not what you know. The choices you didn't make, they're gone almost.
I remember when my daughter was growing up, we used to say the Lord's Prayer, and we used to ask for forgiveness and ask for guidance. Um, we did that really not because we believed in God, if you like. It was just a way of reflecting on what you've done. Um, and Also sort of recognizing the failures that you've made in the day and try and be a stronger person the next day. Um, I think that's what's meant by it. So I wasn't trying to instill principles. It was just those were the principles that I was trying to instill into my daughters to be reflect on what you've done in the day and then try and be a better person the next day. That sort of thing, really. But
Mhm.
a Christian would ask for guidance as well from Jesus or God as to the best way forward, wouldn't it be? They're quite often.
100%. Yeah,
So
I'm asking God for help every day.
yeah. So in so much as that, you do your best. You don't know whether it is the best or the right direction, but at the end of the day, you say, "Look, I'm not perfect. Forgive me for the failures that I've made, and then guide me in the right direction." I suspect you pray like that most days.
Hmm.
Most Christians would, and I think it comes that so really from that perspective you're never really lost, are you? Because you're sleeping at night knowing that somebody's got a plan for you and it's going to work out all right as long as you have faith in that person dying to save you. So in
Hmm.
that
It's
case it's
not just a Christian thing either, though, because that's a spiritual thing. I ask for guidance on a daily basis as well,
yeah,
and it's not to a God in the Bible or the Quran or the whatever scriptures.
Can
It's
I just
it's
ask
the
him who are you asking?
spirit,
Okay.
sort of yeah, all that is, all that creates, and I think. I'm a co-creator in that as well.
yeah.
So when we're making those choices without being able to do the split test um, of doing simultaneous things, you're just trusting that it will unfold in such a way that will give you um, experience, learning, direction, um, meaning, purpose, all of those things. And I suppose when I've felt lost in my life, I guess there's been an element of me looking for that stuff.
Give me
Um,
an example.
yeah, so I remember being very low when I was like 19 or so, going kind of like, what's it all about? What am I to do with my life? Uh what's what should I do? Who am I? What's my purpose? What should I be doing next? All of that stuff. And actually, this is a really perfect example because in me, I can remember walking down the street, after work, going back to my house, and I was alone in the house, and I'd been, kind of going, oh, I'm so fed up, I don't know what to do, don't know where I'm going, what's happening.
So you
So
were
I
lost.
felt lost. I felt like
Mm.
I felt overwhelmed with, life and a bit kind of like, what plan am I supposed to be following? Is there a plan for me? All of that stuff. I felt lost. It seemed like I was lost.
And you
When I was
didn't
in my,
have any guidance from
well,
your
this is it. If you let me continue, John. So I go in the house, I make a cup of tea. I'm sitting pretty fed up. And then there's a knock on the door.
right.
um, like that quick. And quite often, when I ask for help or guidance, sometimes it shows up really quick. And another quick example from when me and Henry were playing golf the other week. I was talking to Henry about a problem in life, and asking the question, should I be harder or should I be softer in life? And the next ball I pull out from my golf ball says extra soft on it. Anyway, that's a small example, and you could say coincidence,
Coincidence.
whatever. So
Yeah.
go, okay, fair enough. A nihilist would say that. Going back to the story though, so I'm sitting in my house, bit fed up, 19 years old, lost, directionless, all that. Knock on the door, and a guy goes, he looks up at me and he goes, "Have you heard the word of God?" And I was like, oh God, oh no, one of these, it could be a Mormon, could be a Jehovah's Witness, could be, just somebody from the local church. And I'm not that into structured religions. But something inside of me went, well, you better come in. And he came in. He said his name was Peter. I have no idea. He said,
Like the disciple.
yes. We chatted for a bit. He said, "Do you mind if I say a prayer for you?" He prayed for me. And then he was off. He said, "I better go." And I said, "Oh, okay, what are you doing then?" And he said, "Well, the guys I'm out with, they'll be finished this road now and they'll be up the road in the local pub. I think it was a Pineapple pub, on Catherine Street, for
Yeah.
those who, yeah. Anyway, he said, I've got to catch up with them. I said, so what are you doing then? He's like, oh, I'm selling double glazing. What? It was nothing to do with the church, nothing to do with, he just took it upon himself in that moment to kind of go, take one look at my face and go, this guy needs a little chat. And he showed me the leaflets. He was handing out leaflets for double
Not
glazing.
double glazing, but he
But
sat there and gave you.
yeah, now tell
Well,
me that's a coincidence, John.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, okay, so we judge these things, but going back to, I like what you say about people saying life is a journey, and personally, I don't like that, and I would like to have some other phrase for what it is. But so you said that, H, and I agree. And John, you said about dreams. Am I living my dreams? Am I living other people's dreams? What if this life is just an experience like dreaming? Like being in a dream.
Yeah.
And we co-create that, just like you do when you go to sleep at night and you close your eyes, and then one minute, you're being chased by zombies, the next minute you're flying. It's kind of that is life, and the experience in your dream life. What if it's very similar when you're in your waking life from birth to death? What if when you actually die, it's like waking up from a dream and you go, well, that was quite interesting. But
Yeah.
you get to play around with it and co-create it just like you do in your dreams.
Mm.
Which, yeah, we're going down another rabbit hole there. But I think we need to bring it back to, are we lost?
I think that's related though, because it
It
it's
is.
it's talking about the creation aspect of life. And if we're creating it, then it's like, how can you're lost in your own creation? It's like,
Yeah. And how can you be lost in your own dream?
mm,
Like,
Yeah.
and
I've
yeah,
been lost in my own drink quite often.
well, no, but you have the experience of being lost, but
Yeah.
you're actually just having an experience of being lost, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the same
But there's
for
no
us.
anxiety there. I think that sometimes you have an anxiety. I think that I mean I've started to keep a dream diary actually to find out how it relates to my conscious state as well, as my unconscious state. And
Well,
I think that where there's no anxiety when you're lost, there's that's very different, in from an internal perspective to somebody that has anxiety when they're lost. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
And I'll tell you exactly what the difference is. One goes along with the feeling of anxiety and the experience of being lost. The
yeah,
other is relaxed and in flow and kind of trusting, well, let's see where this goes.
yeah, yeah,
So, so the experience of being lost is mostly about the feeling in my mind because and or the trust in what happens next. I think I spoke a couple of weeks ago about running out of petrol
mm,
in one of my old VW vans and what happened next. You
mm,
know, I could have been, oh God, run out of petrol, got to get the can out, walk 4 miles to the petrol station. No, 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 that would have been a hassle and felt very different than okay, well, that's happened. Let's see what happens next. And what
yeah.
happened next was a beautiful thing and a great thing that still gives me memories now. And so, yeah, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? It's that feeling of being lost versus are you actually lost? Can you actually be lost? And my
Well,
feeling is not.
being lost and having anxieties, or being lost and being open to the possible, embracing the is two different feeling states of mind, isn't there? One's
Yeah.
anxiety and one's excitement.
Yeah. And what if that creates what you get out of life? How you're being and what state you're in kind
Mm.
of creates what might happen next. I mean, it's
Yeah,
down to the reason, right?
yeah.
If you get
And
stressed
going
or
back
anxious,
to
then you're going to
your,
get an experience of being stressed and anxious. If you're in flow state and you're relaxed and you're kind of open for things, then you're perhaps going to get a very different thing.
and I think when you were talking about the fuel gauge, we were talking about depression and how the fuel gauge is an indicator of what could possibly happen. Um, and if you've got a propensity to go uh, to let it run to the end and then feel really pissed off about it, um, and then I think you might go into sort of the likes of depression. But other people might like the idea of just saying, let it flow, let's go. And then whatever happens, I'll hitchhike and I'll meet somebody really cool and I'll get, and life will change. It's no problem. So I think we go to, there are two spectrums here of the positive and the negative, people feeling if you're lost, whether you feel positive about that or whether you feel negative about that. I think that's dependent on everybody's different, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if you've got a propensity to feel pissed off, then I think you're more a pessimist than you are an optimist.
If you're being pissed off and pessimistic, you're likely
Well,
to get
feeling
an
lost,
experience.
you can see it from a pessimistic side or an opportunity, an opportunity.
Yeah, I hear you. And
So
so if
there's
you're being
one's
pessimistic,
pessimistic, one's optimistic.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
if you're being one over the other, then you're either lost or not lost in your experience, but neither is true. Does that make sense?
no, say that again.
So if you're being negative and pessimistic and pissed off
Yeah.
versus positive, optimistic, hopeful, and adventurous,
Yeah.
you will get two very different experiences, but neither are true. They're
Yeah.
just based on how you're being.
Yeah. 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 You get two
And
different. You'll
and
you'll
more
you'll
than
approach,
that,
you'll approach the situation in a much more in two different ways. Yes. Uh,
and it will produce the results. So you are what you are. You are what you're being. If that makes
well,
sense
you
to
will
you.
look certainly. The optimist will see the positive side of of being lost, and the negative person will see the opposite, really. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's strange. I think yeah, and it's I find it quite frustrating sometimes when people can be um, I don't know. I think we've all got a propensity to for both sides, haven't we?
You know the
yeah,
difference though, like in order to be lost, you have to feel that there is somewhere to go, don't you? Because you say you're lost when you don't know where you are and you don't know how to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
But if you're in complete surrender, like you said, the guy that's the optimistic version of what you're speaking about, they might not feel like they've got somewhere to go. So that feeling, even though they are going somewhere, obviously, because we all are, but that feeling of like, oh, I'm not getting to where I need to go isn't there, right? And it's about the internal state that you're both talking about.
You see, I like that. I like that the unknown, and I like being a certain amount of lost. It brings the excitement, keeps you on the edge, it gives you butterflies in your tummy. Yeah, and that's what I like about it. It's a buzz. I think that if you're where I think that some people that when they get it's for example, I remember once I was traveling with my daughter and we were going to the coast and we would and for where I was going through the times table with that and then by the time we finished the 8 times table I looked up and I said I haven't a clue where we are and she goes what are we can do. Well I said well the the beach is on the east coast. So I pulled out my phone and drew I got a map, well, the compass on there. I said, if we keep heading east, we'll eventually hit the seaside, and then no problem. It's no biggie, is it? But we'll get to see different things that we never saw before. And her face went from being like a panic. Where are we? Where are we going to go? How are we going to, is that to a bit more relaxed? And it was, uh, and that was. I think that if you that's the difference, I think, is
yeah,
that some people have a panic attack when they're lost and they, think everything's going to be it's terrible. Where I'm a bit more analytical and logical, and I think, okay, there's a solution to this. Um, and it's going to be really interesting to find out how the result on the other side. And so I think that you can be lost, but it's your attitude towards being lost or being in having that fear, a fear of being not the unknown and dealing with the fear, those butterflies and that, you start your heart starts beating a bit quicker. I mean, I don't know, perhaps I'm
yeah,
just endorphin, I like the endorphin rush, and some people get panic attacks with that sort of stuff. I know my
yeah.
sister doesn't like that. My sister Vicky, you put her in a position where she starts hyperventilating, and he's like, all right, well, let's find a nice place for you to calm down and relax.
That's what that's what I'm pointing to. It's the concept of being, if you like. How are you being? And how your being is shaped by how you're acting, and what you embody in the present moment kind of gives you that result. So if you think you're lost, you are. If
Yeah,
you think you're in an adventure, you are. If you think it's meant to be this way, it is.
yeah.
It's how you're being in the moment that kind of creates the
The
experience in the
emotion,
present.
the
Yeah.
emotional, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, going back to the question, can you ever be lost? Yeah, we can be lost. It's how you deal with it. It makes you the person you are, isn't it? Really. Um,
I'm saying no, you can't be lost. It looks like you can be lost. It seems like you are lost. And when I was 19 and feeling that way on the way back from work, that's how it looked to me, but I wasn't. In fact, that whole
for a
thing has
fleeting
been
time, you were, weren't you? Otherwise, you wouldn't have had those.
No, I was being and acting as if I was lost. But actually that time was a hugely formative and important time in my journey. And
Mm,
I'm not going to say journey, in my life path, in
mm.
my life experience that gave me lots of, I don't know what else to say other than journey. I hate that phrase. "Oh, it's a
Why?
nice journey." I don't know, because just like you said, H, it's kind of like it's not a journey. There is no destination. You don't have a destination in your dreams, do you? It just all pans out and then you wake up. And I think life's a bit like that as well, a series of random and loosely connected experiences that gives you the experience of life.
You think it's
And so,
random?
But
oh yeah, okay. I used the word random.
That makes me feel kind of lost.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm lost.
I don't know. But a couple of episodes back, you spoke of as life is a gift,
Mm,
and to enjoy it.
absolutely.
So
Sorry, fellas. I've got to dip out. Hospital is calling me, so I'll be back
Okay.
very soon.
Yeah, life is a gift. Sorry, John.
yeah. So life's a gift. Isn't that you can't be lost if you know that life's a gift.
Well, the thing is, we lose certain knowledge when we come into this world, or we never had it. But I believe we lose a sense of what's really going on to be fully immersed into this experience of life, right? So
Mm,
this idea of being lost, it's like just to experience life, we need some level of unknowing to
mm.
be fully in this. You know what I mean?
Do
Does
you
that
ever
make sense?
do you ever feel, when was the last time you felt lost?
Um,
Do you ever,
Probably feel lost on some level every day at some point, I would say.
yeah,
Uncertain about something.
whether you're doing the right thing, you're going the right
Yeah,
direction.
yeah, but that's because, we our battle is not against flesh and blood, we're in a spiritual war and there's battles
It's
to be had.
it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I mean, you would think that over t in time that you wouldn't those feelings would dissipate and they'd get less, they would wane, but they don't. Your feeling now of whether you're, on a level, we're all sort of feeling lost is on a continuum, isn't it? It can be a little bit or a lot. Um, and
Very lost.
pardon?
Very lost.
Yeah, exactly.
From lost to very lost.
Yeah, yeah. So some days you wake up and go, "Where am I today? Oh yeah, I've got this, and this." So you had that feeling of loss for about a fleeting second. And other days you wake up and go, "What is that? Where are we? What are we doing here? Christ, is it really?"
So
You know.
So for me, it's quite simple. When you dwell in either, that's what creates the feeling. The feeling of being lost is just an indicator that you're having lost thoughts. And so, for me, it's quite simple.
Of leakage, isn't it? It's wasted energy.
Well, it's just energy, John, and it's just
They call
thoughts
it
that come
leakage.
through us.
It's when
But
when
But
you
there's something important I wanted to say,
yeah.
in that most of us think that our logic and reason is where it's all at, and we've got to try and work it all out and find the meaning and find our way and find our purpose and find our life path. But actually, some of it is way beyond logic and reason. So when we get into the logic and reason, that for me sometimes is taking us off track. We can get lost in caught up in that stuff that we think is quite real. Hang on a second, John.
Mm.
We get caught up in this stuff that is quite real. Whereas, like when we go through life, uh, following the nudges and being in the flow and just taking things and opportunities, then it gets a little bit more simple. So I'm saying it's actually quite
No, no,
simple. We're
I
never
hear
lost.
what you're saying, and that was right down the path of a nihilist. Is because if you don't have any preconceived ideas of the end, then you just live your life, you know. You don't have to live a moral, virtuous life in order to get to heaven, you know. You just live life.
Who said it's about getting to heaven? That's
Well,
certainly, I think both exist here on earth.
that's being on track, isn't it? Being on track to get to heaven.
No, no, because that's a destination, and I'm saying
Well,
I
what's
don't know
being on
whether there
track
is a
then if it's not being on track to a destination? That's what a track comes from. It's like, it's
being
a train.
off track. Being off track is me as a 19-year-old thinking that I'm purposeless, life is meaningless, that I don't know where to do, I can't find my way, la la la. Being on track is me kind of going,
Having
no,
a job,
all
having a
is well.
career, having
No, no, I don't even need to have a job or having a career to feel that.
but having a vision of where you want to get to in life that is being on
No,
track.
no, no, it's nothing to do with destination for me.
I say,
Um, it's nothing to do with that. It's about being being not in the feelings of lostness, anxiety, depression, things like those are just indicators that I'm thinking it too I'm overthinking it all that actually creates the experience of being lost. But when I open up to life
yeah,
and I don't overthink things, then I'm not lost.
maybe there's no. Okay,
And by the way, that was a call from the hospital for an appointment I've been on a long waiting list for. Had I
good.
ever ignored that call,
Yeah.
I would have just sat on the waiting list and somebody else would have got the opportunity this afternoon for a cancellation at 2 o'clock. So you've just got to play along with life in order to not be lost, I think.
I see. See, it's yeah. Well,
We're co-creating
others
it.
may disagree. Others may say that, in order to stay on track, is that you go to school, do your education, you get a house and a career and a family, and that you are on track in life. Yeah, that's what you'd be success, and the measure of your success in life is your material goods. So that's
Well,
one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is like for example, Tim, is not confining yourself to these parameters and just experiencing life and the joys of life as it comes along. And then you're on sort of track. And I think for a good portion of my life, I was definitely following your route, Tim, of just going with the flow and following the flow and going,
don't get me wrong. It's not just about going with the flow and following the flow. It's about co-creating in that.
yeah, yeah. No,
It's
but
still about having goals and
taking the
objectives.
opportunities where the river runs quickest, and yeah, it worked out very well for a long time. And it's when I came back here and sort of wanted to, if you like, get on track, get the house, get the dog, get the children, get the family, the picket fence. It didn't work out at all, and I tried twice at that, and now I've got two kids from two different mothers. So that's not a solution to it. It really isn't. And I think that there's an element, I agree with you from your perspective, is that, being on track doesn't necessarily mean, you know, conform to sort of what's considered normal. I think that's a big mistake.
That's all outside stuff, isn't it? And stuff that we're
Yeah.
conditioned to believe and follow along with. But
Yeah.
actually, most of it is stuff that happens within us and how
And
we.
invariably, these people are lost when you look at them and you look and ask them about life, about, um, what their bucket list is, where they've been, where they want to go, and what makes them happy and what makes them sad. They're quite shallow people. It's because they've not explored anything in life and they've just done the same stuff. all the time, and it's like, God, that's just, you know, that's that's a bit sad in a way. They look at their, I don't know, man, I
Yeah,
don't.
no, it's I recall many conversations with multimillionaires as well, actually,
Pardon?
um,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
where they're lost in life and they've got everything and have
yeah,
experienced a lot of things.
yeah.
I can see Henry wanting to say something about that. I think, if I'm not wrong, about 5 minutes ago.
Hmm. Yeah, it's sort of gone now. It was just the
Yeah.
two options that were given. I sort of objected a little bit, but I
Go
can't
on.
remember exactly what it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So the idea of having a house and a child and a career and
Well, just
probably
that whole frame is man-made, isn't it? Like this
yeah,
idea that you got to go to school, get a mortgage, etc. Like that is,
yeah,
for a lot of the growing up, that's what I thought life was, and that's how I saw my life going. I thought, oh yeah, once I finish school, I'll get a good job and I'll
yeah,
go and build skills and then I'll earn lots of money and then I'll be happy. And it's like, well, no, that's not what life is. And when you realize that that's created and
yeah,
that formula, that blueprint doesn't need to be followed, and
yeah.
actually that probably isn't taking you where you want to go as well. It's a rude awakening.
It is. It
But
is. It's
most
astonishing.
people are in that. So this whole question, can you be lost or off track? There's a lot of people playing a lot of games that they didn't even want to play. Some people are fulfilling a career to try and get the woman they want, or to try and impress their family member, or to try and, like, we all play these little games in our life and we don't always know why. Someone hurt us in the past and we do this to get back, or we do this to prove something to ourselves or prove something to them, or
Mm.
and it's like when you're playing these little games, aren't you lost in some degree because you're not acting on what's real? You're acting on some
It's
little bullshit,
vengeance,
some
isn't it?
lower self that wants to prove something or be someone. And it's like we
Yeah.
ain't got to do all that, you know what I mean? That's
It's
not
vindictive.
basically
It's vindictive thoughts, and it goes back to the seven deadly sins. What are they? Can you recall?
Oh
what
God.
greed,
Gluttony,
lust,
greed,
gluttony.
lust.
Is it? Is gluttony greed, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you bring him up, Tim, or should I do it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll try
You
and
do it,
get
John
them.
GBT.
But I think what you're saying there is right. If you're reacting to stuff in your head, you're reacting to logic and reason that you're creating inside of yourself, which may be put there by other people and your experience. But pride, greed, wrath,
Lust, envy,
envy, lust,
gluttony, and wrath,
and sloth.
and
Sloth.
sloth. Yeah.
Sloth, laziness, yeah, sluggishness, or failure to utilize one's gifts. Um,
Yes.
One's gift. Do you see that, John?
Sorry?
One's gift.
mm,
No, no. One sloth, wrath, gluttony, envy, lust, and greed, and pride.
Pride
No,
is an
it's
excessive identification on ego, self-love, or belief in one's own superiority. Greed is like an intense or selfish desire for wealth, power, or possessions.
Yeah.
Wrath is the uncontrolled feelings of anger, rage, and hatred. Envy is resentfulness, desire for somebody else's traits, status, or possessions.
Yeah.
Lust, well, that's quite a straightforward one. Intense and uncontrolled sexual desire or craving. Gluttony, overindulgence in and overconsumption of anything to the point of waste. And sloth is laziness, sluggishness, or a failure to utilize one's gifts. So all of those things are going to take us off track, aren't they? Because they're things that we think in
Yeah.
our heads
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
want or need or should do.
And if
When
you look at and if you look at if what we're preconditioned into doing is like having the house, having the job, having the wealth. I mean, it just goes against. Look at the greed, the pride, the lust, the envy. I mean, you're ticking all the boxes. I mean, these are the seven deadly sins. So the best thing,
wow,
you
hang
know,
on though. So our nihilist is agreeing with these Christian monastic traditions.
well, I think that the seven deadly sins. I think. you don't have to believe in a deity to understand that the meaning behind it is well meant.
So where does that come from? So why does that, if you're like you said earlier, if you just want to live your life and it doesn't really matter, what is it inside you that stops you doing those deadly sins that are bad for you?
Well, you're constantly bombarded by other people and judged by other people, aren't you? And I think that's
But that's a concept because you can't always know what's inside other people's heads. What is it that gives you your internal
well,
direction?
well, for me, I couldn't give a flying monkeys what anybody thinks, and that's why I don't. I like to work from home, and I keep my cards very close to my chest. I don't tell anybody what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. It's because I don't want to be subjected to by outside interference, really. I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing, good, bad, or indifferent. And I'll live and die by my own decisions. So but I do think that pride, being, yeah, it's almost pride, being proud or pride is, it's a funny one because I'm a proud father, um, and but I think it means a bit more than that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's no harm in being like a proud parent. Excessive love of oneself. Well, yeah,
I
that's
Personally, I think these seven deadly sins might warrant a whole episode on themselves because there's a lot to this. But the
Yeah.
question I'm asking is, if it's not spirit or God, what kind of speaks to you to keep you on track and keep your pride in check to make it humility, or keep your greed in check to make it charity, or keep your wrath in check to be patience, or
mm.
your envy in check to be kindness, or your lust to be in check to counter chastity.
Well, I internalize it. I would, but at the end of most days, I look back and internalize what I've done in the day and try. Marcus Aurelius did meditations, and I'm quite fond of listening to people like that
Mm.
and his meditations. And I listen to people like the Dalai Lama, and I take things like the deadly sins and the Ten Commandments and whoever, the whatever religious or um, virtuous people have to say. I think that, I guide my life from, experience and knowledge, really, not from a single source.
See, that was such a worldly answer, John. And sorry, I don't mean to sound I'm not judging you in any way when I say that, but
I
like
don't mind.
Tim is pointing to spirit, right? And you talk about like knowledge and your source and things. But like, do would you say there's something internal guiding you forward to want to learn, to want to be a good person, to want to progress? Because without that, like I don't see why everyone sort of has this drive within to do something, to go somewhere, to be someone. Like, do you, do you not think
I don't
that
know.
there's something pushing you towards good?
Good? No,
No,
not good. I wouldn't.
no.
I have an a quest. I've got insatiable quest for knowledge.
Mm.
Sometimes I sit here and I've got dry eyes and I'm tired and I just don't want to go to bed because I want to I want to keep absorbing. And the only way that I can do that is by, you know, moving one room to the other and lie down and listening to a podcast. My mind won't ever settle. I don't have, I think I might, meditation is perhaps a good form of relaxation for me, and I don't do enough of it. I really don't. I've got an insatiable thirst for knowledge. I wouldn't say. Well, I'm just about to do a documentary on Eichmann, the Obersturmführer of the SS who killed all the Jews, who threatened he was going to hop into his grave gleefully for killing 5 million Jews. I mean, there's nothing. I'm intrigued. I'm watching the Nuremberg trials now about this, and that fascinates me that different things all the time. It wouldn't say it's good. Wouldn't say it's good at all. But I don't. I'm not a good person. It's not. I try to be good, um, and I don't intentionally go out of my way to be horrible. But sometimes I know that I may say something the wrong way, or inadvertently upset somebody.
Hmm.
But I don't have any desire to be a good person, if you like.
You literally just said 2 sentences ago, I try to be good,
I
but then you
do
just said,
try, but I'm not.
but you don't, but then you just said you don't have any desire to be good. So why do you do it if you don't have any desire? Because you
Because
just
it's a
said I
failure.
tried.
It's a
Yeah, go on.
failure in me, and I know that I should. Because if I speak my mind, I could be quite abrupt and rude, and I know that some people might take offense to it.
Mhm.
Right. So I do try to curb the way I talk, um,
Why?
because people might take offense,
Why
and
does that matter?
it, you get more out. It's probably you get more out of the person if you're nice to them. So, as much as I fucking hate them, I'll be nice to them anyway because you never know when you might need them.
So it's about like running smoothly through
Yeah.
life and the
It's a
world.
Machiavellian sort of attitude. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's more of a um uh yeah, it's for my own benefit, not for anything else than that, really.
Well, I would say that you're not evil or flawed or bad or anything like that. I would say that sin is within you, and there is something within you pushing you to want to do better, to want to thrive, to want to, be a positive force in the world, I guess.
I think
Rather than
everybody's
just
sick.
saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, nothing matters" and fuck everyone, you know?
But your sin is in everyone. Yeah, I would agree with
Mhm.
you. But you do have to curb it, don't you?
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the opposing force then?
Um, well, you just got, well, how do you mean?
Well, a bit like the yin and yang of life, a bit like light and dark. If there's this sin that we have to curb, what is the opposing force to that?
Um, Good. It's good and bad, isn't it?
So we've all got good and bad in us.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think we've got, yeah, yeah. And some people are better at hiding it than others, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Quite. I'm sat here from a egotistical, personal point of view, going, "Oh, right. John's been doing that for 41 years of our friendship."
but some people I can sit down and tell them that they're a knob jockey, and I'll
Yeah.
mean it.
And we have the friendship where you can do that.
But exactly, and it's funny actually. It's funny that I've come. There's somebody that's who's come into my life recently, and they can't take a joke or they can't take my humour. Um,
I would suggest that that might not be the right friend for you then.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, my attitude is,
Or, sorry to cut in, or
mm,
they've appeared for a reason to help you
Mhm.
reflect on that sort of thing.
Who knows?
yeah, and I think that perhaps I have reflected on it, and my attitude is sod it. Life's too short to fucking bow down to everybody else.
I
If you,
don't think that's a bad thing in any way, I really don't, because I think it's about the posture of the heart. I don't think that God hears certain words. He goes, "Oh, you just said fuck," but then going, "Oh, fuck you, Tim, you're a prick." Like now I'm being horrible to someone. But if I just go, "Oh shit," Like I'm not, I'm just saying a noise, like in a different language, that word is a different thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's just a noise. Like I don't think that should be treated like blasphemy. But
No, and
you
the
know what I
thing
mean?
is, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. Now, Tim will, I mean, Tim it can be straightforward and upfront with me. Say you're a cunt or whatever it is, or I think you're a,
I called Henry that word only last week.
yeah. And the thing is, that's all right. I mean, because I know that I can go for a beer with him and have a laugh and a joke with him, and I can call him the same. And some people can take it, and some people can't, and that's why. I sometimes curb my my outward personality because it can be a little bit cutting, and it's not. I don't want to, bad news travels much quicker than good news, and it's I don't want to have any bad rumors spread around,
Well,
but
it's more than that, isn't it? It's about how you're being. So, like, when I call you those words beginning
yeah,
with C, and I'm not sure whether those are okay on YouTube or anywhere else where we might post these things, but my intent and my heart is actually not in malice or vindictiveness. It's kind of like, it's almost a term of endearment, but expressing something that I'm feeling in the moment that
yeah,
isn't, yeah. And
yeah,
so it's all about how we're being. And I guess that's what I keep pointing back to as like this stuff is going on in ourselves. And I don't think there's anything you can do about being judged by other people. You can manage your own brand. You can try and project how you're being and virtual signal and do kind things or say nice words, but actually how your being gets felt. And I think what's important about that is that the madness of our experience is that we judge ourselves by how we think we are being judged by other people.
perceived by other people.
That's
Yeah,
the logical, rational thing that is madness, mate. And
yeah.
and so I agree with you both that we need to chill out on that.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, outside the thing in work, you have to have that sort of ability, um, and project yourself in a manner that's in a professional manner. It's like the coach in England, the Thomas, the coach who's now
Pretty cool.
he said he wants players that are good on and off the pitch. And then he's chosen team players rather than the best players because he wants the team to work together as a team. And straight away, you get all these good players shouting off on social media, "You terrible! You've made a terrible move. This, that, and the other." And and I can see where he's coming from there because if you can't keep your mouth shut and you're open to, slander somebody else or speak your mind, in a private setting, that's fine. But in a professional setting, you've got to learn to control that and keep it down, get on with the job and do your work, sort of thing. And I know what you're saying, Henry, is that, there's no harm in it. In private, there isn't any harm, you know. But in some cases, I think it's prudent really to just to be a bit more controlling of, the way that you express yourself. I've had to learn the hard way. Trust me. Alexa, stop. I've had to learn the hard way. I was very open about everything and everybody, and I was considered like a bull in a china shop, and oh my God, it's going to kick off here, sort of thing, and I'm a hothead. I try to, and that's not as much as it's. I think it's a quality that I've tried to pare down a little bit in life because I know that if I smile more, I'm pleasant to people, then the sort of the attitude I get back is much nicer.
Well, I don't know like how that's changed your life and maybe that's made you like rub along in the world easier or something. But
Mm.
like straight away, I just go to Jesus and how he literally is teaching us when he died on the cross. He was hated. He was the man that, according to the word, did everything right. So even when you get everything right, you make no mistakes, they
Yeah.
can still hate you, judge you, and hang you on a cross to bleed out and die. You know what I mean? So it's like, if anything, that teaches me that you can't try and rob along with the world to like be correct because bro, the world's flawed anyway. Like if you're robbing along with the world, you're probably doing something wrong as well because
Yeah.
there's a whole load of shit going on. So
No, that's true. That's
yeah.
true. I mean, everything in moderation, including moderation. And I think you're right. I think that you've got to be a bit wary. A friend to everybody is a friend to nobody. You can come out with all these cliches, and I think that I don't mind sort of sacrificing a friend, an acquaintance. I won't call it a friendship. Um, I become acquainted with people and we sort of get on, and then for one reason or another they not might not like me or might not like them or whatever, and it just we agree to go our different ways, but we don't have to make it really obvious and call them all the bad, have a big Barney about it. So it's you just some people you gel with and some people you don't, you know what I mean? And it's but how did we get onto this? We were talking
Well,
about being lost.
I want to pop something else into the mix because I think we can be lost when we're thinking about our own self and us as an individual and not really playing the game, for instance, using the England team analogy, not playing the game for the team. And to me, the team is humanity and other things in the world, nature, other animals, all the rest of it. And I think we get lost when we get caught up and wrapped up in ourselves and forget that we're playing a collective game. So I don't think we can actually be lost, but I think we can get lost in thoughts
Mm.
and actions and behaviors. And
Of
that's my
in our
take.
own importance as well.
Yes, of our own egocentric self-importance and forget that actually the collective results we're getting on planet Earth are because of all of us.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we should round up today's conversation because actually when we started, we were wondering where this question was going to go and whether it was going to be any good to discuss. But my God, this has been a rich one.
You may have been, you prejudged it already, hadn't you, Tim?
Well, in my experience, I've been on track with this subject, and I've not been lost in this subject. I think it's been a good topic, and I don't think you can actually be lost. I think you can. It can look
But you
like
can
you're.
feel lost, can't you?
You can feel lost. It can be. It can seem like you're lost, but know that even when it feels like you're lost, that could end up being a great thing.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I certainly feel lost, but I have faith that I'm exactly where I need to be at any given moment. So,
But I think even, there are people that feel lost. And I'm fortunate to have people who I can turn to who can slap me across the face and say, what, you know, get a grip, look at it from this perspective. Um, but I suspect there are some people, um, especially when they see um, being lost in a pessimistic way rather than being an opportunity. I think that people can get lost and spin very quickly further, down, and it becomes really, really quite difficult to. They are sort of lost people then, aren't they, really? So I think that we need to sort of recognize some of the people that are surround us and perhaps, put a hand out a support to them and, try and pick them up in a way. I think it's always nice to make somebody smile, isn't it, really? Um, that's what sometimes I forget that brings me up. Sometimes you can feel a bit flat, but if you do something good for somebody else, it makes you feel good, it makes them feel good, and not so lost. But yeah, yeah,
And
it's
the
been
world's a better place.
yeah, yeah. Uh, well, all in all, it's been an interesting discussion. Thank you for that, Henry. Is you got any takeaways?
No, I think that's it, mate. I think it's been a great chat. Thank you, gents.
Yeah. Tim?
Nice one. See you for the next episode. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Laters.
Bye.